We are hoping for a relaxation, particularly of some of these strict COVID-0 rules. But what sort of turns around the picture here for Hong Kong, Iris?
I think the main thing that I expect from the policy address is under what condition that the border between Hong Kong and Mainland China can be opened. We would not have the timing, but at least I want to know under what condition that will happen.
We're also looking at some potential relaxation of visa rules to try and lure talent, and that's certainly what we saw from Singapore about 5 or 6 weeks ago. I mean, there's always this comparison between Hong Kong and Singapore. What brings Hong Kong back, though, as a key financial hub?
I think the first thing is that opening the borders with Mainland is very important. Now, I understand that many businesses are holding off the expansion in Hong Kong because it lost its role if it can't open the border with Mainland. The second thing is that people, I think, meet some kind of misconception of the national security. And then also that I think that's the main thing also. And that actually makes people hesitate.
Iris, before we move on to mainland China, let's have a look at the state of Hong Kong right now from an economist's perspective. Where are we with an economy which has essentially contracted hugely in the last 2 years?
Yes, and especially if we look at not only the economic indicators, but also the forward-looking stock indexes, we see that we are actually in a very dire situation.
Okay, well, what do you think, if you look through the prism of Beijing, how do they really see Hong Kong now? And how are they looking at themselves, given what we heard on Sunday from Xi Jinping in his speech to the Congress?
I think the tone on Hong Kong has not changed in the 20th Party Congress report by Xi. So we shouldn't imagine or think too much about that in that direction. But John Lee's policy address could actually reflect some of those continuation of Hong Kong policy by mainland China. So that means COVID measures will be matched with those in mainland China, at least for some time. And therefore, the real retail activities may not be very upbeat, although we see some recovery in Hong Kong as well as in mainland. But we shouldn't be expecting very upbeat retail growth.
How bad do you think those third quarter GDP numbers are going to be from China when we finally get them? And what do we read into the delay of that data too?
So I don't think that the delay is anything to be related with the numbers itself. So the numbers I have is I forecast is 4.4% year on year, and the full year is 3.6%. So it paints actually not a very good picture, but recovery should have picked up.
All right, when it comes to the overall recovery, and let's get back to the Hong Kong picture, because you touched on inflation there, you touched on the consumer retail, and I know that is one piece that you see picking up, and we know that people want to spend. What about when it comes to wages growth, though, and how much does that impede the recovery?
Good question. Actually, Hong Kong has some kind of inflation, not as fierce as US or UK or Europe, but we have some kind of inflation from the gasoline prices. So, and wages, on the other hand, is affected by the whole economy, which is now not doing very good. So it means that wage growth should be very low, and we have already seen many redundancy in the past few years. So even the jobless rate is now calming, but it is not going down at a very good speed. So what we should expect from wages is that there could be no change in wage growth or some kind of downward adjustment for some industries. Although in some industries, for example, airlines, they may see some growth in wages, but not to the overall economy, not to all the industries.